Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus and I welcome you to Mythic Gaming. I'm with Tim Espy and Zack MaAtee, our co-hosts, and we'll be exploring what's new and exciting in the field of RPGs, board games, card games, and any other type of game you can think of. And today we're going to start with Zack, who has a solo role-playing game he can't wait to tell us about. Greetings, Tim. Greetings, Zack.
Greetings.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, so I mentioned this to Tim the other day. I got to see him in person and showed him my copy of this, which will become an important detail in a minute. But I recently found a solo RPG that I played through fully, and I'm floored by it. I did not expect to be as sucked into it and like enjoy it as much as I did. So the game is called Spine, which is an acronym for Siderius Plugs Immortality in 99 Endnotes. Uh, and so I will preface this by saying that I will be addressing some spoilers for the story content. So if anyone would like to avoid that, please feel free to skip past this section. Um, most of this is stuff that is apparent very, very early within the first couple pages. But still, I know some people will want to go in blind to this kind of stuff. So first, the company that publishes it is called Backwards Tabletop. They've only done a couple small games, and unfortunately, this is the only one in this style. The lore is if you buy the physical copy of the book, which is extremely affordable, I think it was like $10, $15. Um, the book is written as if it was given to you after your grandmother passed away. And you immediately kind of discover that in the lore of this book, you and your grandmother had a very contentious relationship ever since you were a child. She was an academic in the field of literature, and you had a major falling out. Now you're an adult. You are also an academic. And so there's a note from, I think it's supposed to be one of your cousins or your aunts saying, this was left to you in the will. Maybe it's because now you're an academic. So maybe it was a way of her kind of apologizing or showing respect, that kind of thing. So right from the jump, from the first few pages, that's what you're met with. A handwritten, handwritten and then printed, obviously, but handwritten note warning you about what the game entails, like some of the possible topics that might be of issue, in case you don't want to encounter them. And then it immediately skips past any publishing information to go straight to the beginning, where your in-law grandmother's name is the most recent one signed in almost like a library card portion at the front of the book. The way it works is this is a collection of research. It's unclear at first if this is research your grandmother put together or if this is something that she was studying, but it's littered with footnotes, endnotes. So on each page, certain words will have a number after them indicating there is an endnote. Typically, a page will have between 1 and 5 of these. If it only has one, it's usually the beginning of a chapter. Other pages typically give you some options because what you do is you go to the back of the book where they have the endnotes, and each one of them is a prompt that has you effectively treat this as a journal, as something you're studying. And they will have you do things like write directly in the book, fold pages in the book, burn pages of the book, rip some out, get water all over them, stab some of them with a pen, all sorts of
Wow.
really interesting stuff. I believe the publisher said that they would like the quote that a book that is pristine has never been loved. And so his idea was he wanted you to come away from this with a quote unquote well-loved book, defaced by yourself. Um, but so when you go through these prompts, they're almost always some kind of lore aspect. allowing you to kind of build on and create the relationship that you had with your grandmother. So one of the early ones, I believe one of the first three, kind of harkened you back to when you were a child. There was a point where you wrote something in one of the books she was studying, and it ended very badly. So it gives you options. So you can say, oh, did you write something in the book? If you did, write it here in the margins of this page as if to spite your grandmother. Did you draw something in the book? If you did, draw it here in the margins of the page, giving you this immediate like backstory building from the get. As you go through it, it very quickly becomes apparent, I would say by the end of the first probably 5 or so pages, this is not a normal book. There's a bit abnormality at play here. Something about the book is drawing you in and forcing you to obsess and study it. So as the book goes on, you're slowly becoming more and more sucked into the text of this research. Periodically, you'll see previous notes as if someone else had taken some notes on the book, or someone else may have damaged a book. You come to one portion where the page simply says that it's the front of a chapter and the entire chapter has been torn out of the book. So you'll find these little bits of evidence that you're clearly not the first person to go through this book and study it in detail. But the book itself has you periodically determine how much time you have lost getting sucked into the book. So they'll have you randomly flip to a page number, add the numbers of that page number together, and that's how many hours or how many days you have been consumed by study of this cursed book. Throughout this, there is a sort of tracker at the back of the book, which I hate to use the term, but think of it as your health bar. So the book is clearly working some dark magic upon you, and the tracker at the back is your measure of how well you're resisting it. So you'll occasionally be told to make adjustments to that tracker, to that health bar. Usually it's negative. It's you getting closer to being put under the book spell. But occasionally you may have an instance where if you're able to complete something, you can cleanse your soul a little bit. You can release the book's hold on you, just the smallest amount. So over the course of my playthrough, I believe you have roughly 8 health, give or take. I got to 7 out of 8. So if I took one more like bit of supernatural influence, I would have fallen under the book spell, which I'm not going to spoil what that entails. And I just barely edged out like the last couple pages. I managed to dodge one last bit and quote unquote survived the book experience. So this has been a lot of fun. I think I sat through and did it in maybe 3 or 4 evenings. I did roughly a chapter at a time. There's about 5 chapters in the book, give or take. They recommend you play through it once and then give it to someone else, ideally without explaining what it is. So then the person who receives it receives your battered copy that has all of your crazy notes and all of the damage you've done to the book. And they go into it now with not just the text, not just the pre-built in notations, but also everything you added on the way, making it your own book. And now this person is dealing with this and seeing someone else went through this book and wrote all these crazy things. What is going on? They even recommend like leaving it in a library for a complete stranger to find and then discover, what you have done and what the book is. The prompts were a lot of fun. It's something I've struggled with other solo RPGs is sticking to them. Like I'll do a couple sessions and then it always seems to lose its luster. This is the first one I have fully played through. And I think a lot of it was because of the tight focus of the prompts in the book itself, as opposed to being what a lot of solo RPGs are, which is a kind of guide to create your own free range story. This is much more narrow in scope. It's you, your family relation to this fictional family, and the text, and every prompt will be about those. So a lot of them may be about different things that you experienced in your childhood, maybe something you remember, but you're sure that you can't be remembering it correctly. What was this? Sometimes it will be asking you to reflect on bits of the text. Sometimes the text has very obvious errors or strike throughs. It may ask you to comment on those and at some points interpret gaps in the text however you believe it should be filled. There were bits where you had to fold pages in half and read things differently. One fun bit where I chose to effectively stab a hole through one page with a pen to view a single word on the page behind it and then write about that word, what that word meant to my character at that moment. So there's a surprising amount of tactile and physical element to it, despite the fact that it is effectively a journaling game. Um, it has several instances of code breaking, of ciphers, which I had virtually no experience with. So that those were the more difficult portions for me. I struggled through those. Uh, but I like that the prompts are very good at giving you just enough to chew on to get started. There's never a kind of blank jumping point where it just says, "Oh, tell me how you feel about X," without any context. They always give you a very good amount of context to help you get into the character's perspective and focus directly on what your character slash you thinks of this thing. Um, Occasionally, I wrote poems. Occasionally, when falling under the book spell, it would sometimes tell you that your hand wrote things in the book without you meaning to. And so to give that kind of an extra level of fun, I decided to, anytime that happened, write with my non-dominant hand so that it also didn't look like my handwriting. And it was these like horribly cramped and jagged words that, because I can't write left-handed, looked extremely sloppy and forced. So like flipping through the book, I see these giant blocks of text. Like I showed Tim, one of them says like, "Keep reading, do not stop," and in just like all capitals written in a really figgly scroll. Uh, it was extremely fun to dive into. I would highly recommend it to anybody who enjoys the hobby, anyone who enjoys cosmic horror, anything in that kind of fiction genre. Um, this was way better than I expected it to be when I jumped into it. And I'm very excited. I'm passing this off to my cousin Harry for him to do a second read through or play through, as the book comes with two quote unquote health trackers at the back. And then once he's done with it, I'm excited to have him give it back to me so I can see how he's built on what I've done to the book and have like a finished product.
Wow, that sounds exciting and interesting. But if you're writing things in the book, how's the replay value, or how can you share it unless
So that's the big part of the allure of passing it on is they recommend two people at most. And what they do is, I mentioned before, each page has multiple prompts. So whenever you pick one, you cross that prompt out. So that time, then when someone else goes through it, they won't be answering the same questions. They won't be writing the same things. So you might get a prompt, for example, that has five options. And they do this fun thing where there's a small spiral symbol. And if you ever see it when you're like glancing through a prompt to decide which of its options to do, you are immediately sucked in and must do the part of it that has the spiral if you noticed it. So it's got almost like a push your luck element where you're like, ah, I don't like the first option, but if I read the second one, I might get trapped into doing it, etc.
Hmm.
Um, but so, perhaps I did one that told me to write a poem in the margins, and then it says strike this prompt. So I would take a pen and literally cross out that entire part of the prompt so that when someone else goes through it, that's not even an option for them to pick.
wow, that sounds interesting and very different. Thank you for sharing that with us. Jim, do you
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
to ask
Yeah, so I'm glad that he brought up the left-handed text part when I was flipping through. So he brought it into the store on one yesterday, and so I got to flip through the book as he was talking about it, and as he was talking about it, like I said, he had the messages written in in ink, and the text was all scrawly, and like he was explaining, like all jagged and looked weird, and I thought that it was part of the book, but like printed from the book, but come to find out it was stuff that he was doing. But yeah, no, it was a really cool concept as he was explaining it to me. He let me in on a couple more things that like he said, he's not going to spoil some stuff, so it's certainly worth exploring for people that like the that realm of it. um I think yeah, Zach, I brought up Alex to you,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I did text him a picture. So there's a friend of mine that also comes to the store. He's into RPGs and Warhammer and Magic as well. Just all the nerdy stuff, of course. Um, but so he's been playing a lot of solo RPGs lately. So as soon as Zach was talking about this, I was like, okay, I would have to send this to Alex. So I sent him a picture of the cover, and I said, hey, find this. Please do not do any research.
Yep, yep.
Find it and just purchase it. Like, just you have to trust me. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would hope that you could trust me on this. And he just said, okay, like what is it? And I said, it's a solo RPG, but again, please just find it and purchase it. So then he texted me a couple hours ago, and he's like, hey, I found it for a little bit less than $20. Zach, I'll report back and let you know
Yeah.
what he says about it. But yeah, I think shipped to his house. I think it was less than $20.
Yeah, and I would say absolutely worth it. Like I showed Tim, like it's very stocky, like very good quality because you're supposed to beat the book up. So they made it like the pages are thick enough that if it tells you to like literally scribble out half the page, you can usually not see it on the other side of the page. It's like very nice, thick, coarse paper. Um, Clearly they took that into mind when they were designing the prompts of how far you could physically push the book. I told Tim at one point, it said like at the page you're on, literally fold the book in half backwards so that from now on, anytime it's lying flat on the surface, it'll always have a bend that like opens to this page, like all sorts of like ridiculous stuff. Um, and then so I was telling Tim the last thing I say about this is just a personal anecdote as opposed to something about the actual text and the gameplay of it. So there have been a few moments in my gaming career where there have been absolutely perfect alignments that I could not plan for. So Tim knows one. We were playing a game of 10 Candles at one point, which is a horror game. It's a one shot. Everyone goes into it knowing their character dies at the end. The first thing you do after making characters is has everybody record a farewell message into a tape cassette that they're leaving behind before they leave the safe zone. And so there was one time we were playing this, and after the last person dies, I've already rewound the tape because the last thing you do, the last person falls, you put out the last candle. So now you're sitting in pitch black and you press play on the tape to listen to everyone's last messages. And immediately, because I'd had this tape recorder for this point well over a decade, something went wrong with the tape cassette and it started getting raspy and like slowing and speeding up and doing all these horrible mutations to the audio and like everybody thought that I did that and like meanwhile I'm sitting there getting goosebumps because I could not have planned this. It's literally an analog cassette tape um and so with this solo RPG I experienced another one. So I wrote as much as I could. I tried to write a lot whenever a prompt came up. I tried to avoid doing like a couple words or a sentence. I tried to again get into the character and live. So because I'm writing a lot, I'm using a lot of ink. And as I started to get to the end of the book, to the last maybe 10 or so pages, my pen began to die. And rather than get a new pen, I said, you know what? No, no, no. I want to see if I can finish it with this pen. And I showed Tim this. As you get to the end of the book, my writings start to fade to the point where half the letters you're just seeing the like physical impression with almost no ink in them. And so like the very last thing that it had me do when I quote unquote survived was to leave a sort of warning, an oblique message in the front of the book, and half of it is just practically invisible as the pen was dying out as I wrote it. And it was so satisfying. And again, something that I could not have planned, but it was just a phenomenal ending to the process.
Could you use the completed book after one or two people have worked on it as a prop in a role-playing game? Because I could see building a whole game around the book and its mysterious contents.
I feel like you could definitely do a Call of Cthulhu or Delta
Mm,
Green or like similar Eldritch horror type thing and use it as a physical prop because
yeah.
there's enough in here for you to build some fun lore. It doesn't answer every question, I guess is a good way to put it. So it gives you room to create and add to.
Hmm, bears looking into.
It could definitely be like a Necronomicon almost kind of thing.
Yep. Like I could see like, oh, you read this chapter, make me a sanity check. Like that. The more
Yeah,
you
yeah,
read, the harder it is to look away.
yep.
So, Tim, have you found anything that you're excited about since last time we spoke?
Oh, interesting. In the RPG space or just in our space in general? Because I do have some stuff that is tangentially connected that my interests have been taking me in other places, but still connected, and it's still been fun.
Well, as long as it comes under the category of gaming,
Oh yeah, I can tie it all together. I promise. Um, did I have I talked or have I talked to you about our 3D printing escapades? Me and my girlfriend.
no, I don't believe so.
Okay. So this was quite a few months ago now, probably 6 or 8 months ago. My girlfriend fell down a 3D printing rabbit hole and ended up picking up a really nice 3D printer for the house. Um, so once she picked hers up, I was like, oh, this could be interesting. I could use this for, many things for the store and just, other personal things. So now we have two in the basement currently. Um, but what I've been using it for lately is like I just gave Zach some stuff. It was Christmas gifts, but it's been a minute since we got a chance to see each other.
Yeah.
Um, but Zach, what game was it? It was it L5R?
Yeah, L5R.
um Zach was running an L5R game. He did mention it in during one of our conversations. He talked about like a big world centipede instead of like a big world serpent, but a big world centipede. I'm not sure if you remember the story or not, but so I found a special 3D printed or model for a big centipede. So I printed it in red and silver, which is Zach's color preference.
Oh,
And so I printed some of that. So it's been fun. So I'm saying all this to say that we've been using it to print stuff, or you can use it to print stuff for games to bring your things to life. Um, I wish that we had them before, so I could have printed the serpent. But you came up with something that was honestly arguably cooler for it. But my next escapade is for my same friend Alex that I was mentioning before. He does a bunch of Warhammer and like I was saying, like solo RPGs, but he has a lot of props and everything. So he builds his games like as he's playing it. So he has, tactile stuff on his kitchen table and everything. Um So I found a bunch of models for, different terrain and buildings and stuff. So I have a bunch of Gothic walls and churches and stuff that I'm going to be printing out for him. But
Nice.
but yeah, it's been a fun little side quest, if you will. um, Finding all these models and stuff. But what she's been printing lately, I gave Zach some. I don't know, uh, are like little fidget clickers. We printed some Pokemon ones, so I've been giving out stuff for our Pokemon crew that comes on Saturday for our league, just as like another little special thing that that you get when you come to level one. I don't know,
That
just
sounds exciting.
yeah, just fun. I don't know, just fun little things. I'm trying to think what else we've done. Uh, oh, so in Pokemon, when you're playing the TCG, the actual game, each card or some Pokemon have abilities that you can use during your turn. And people use little coins to mark that they've used their abilities on the Pokemon. So I found some online that, are Pokeball shaped, and on the reverse side, I embedded our level one games logo on the side or on the back. So I've been giving those away. So it's just a fun thing that is useful and gets our name out there too. Never hurts either.
No, it doesn't. And that is great. I remember it, as you were talking and describing it, I was remembering the early days of role-playing game stores where you go in and there would be racks and racks and racks of lead and other metal miniatures.
Yeah.
So now you can make them at home, which is so cool.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, online there's near it's endless. Of course, it's endless, that stuff that you can find that people have made. There's just websites that you go to that, if you know how to either model like in CAD or in whatever, like Blender or whatever 3D modeling software, you can upload your files to the website and people can find them and download them and then rate them. And one of the websites that we use is fun too, because there's like they call it a remix, where just say Zach has he comes up with an elf model, and I can download that model and remix it and then re-upload it, where it's like, oh, I changed, the height or the size or the, shirt or the clothes or whatever. So it's fun to see what, people come up with on their own, and then you can upload your own stuff, and you know, people can download that and remix that. So it's been a fun, it's a, with a lot of stuff nowadays, like a community almost aspect to it. Um, where people are uploading and sharing and giving tips and stuff. There's in each file there's a whole comment section saying like, oh, like these are the parameters that worked best for me using this filament and stuff. So it's really helpful, especially for, because I've never used one before until 8 months ago or whatever. So it's been a fun experience learning some new stuff.
That sounds great. And if I eventually set one up, it would save a lot of space. I currently have like 20 plastic bins full of scenery and figures, everything from metal to plastic, and maps and all sorts of things. Life would have been so much simpler if it existed like a decade ago. I could just print out what I needed for what I'm doing, and then give away whatever, and knowing I could reprint it at any time. It's a lot
Yeah.
of figurines. I knew that they wouldn't last for very long, so I better pick up as many as I could while I can still find them, because a few years from now, I'm not going to be able to find them.
Yeah, smart. That's what me and my friend was just talking about. He ended up picking up the same printer that I have, or that me and my girlfriend have, but the one new model up. Um, and he has a like six. I believe his son is 6 years old, and he was like, imagine if we had this, when we were this old, like he's already printing out a bunch of stuff for his son and stuff around the house and everything. And he just got it a couple weeks ago and it's, been in full use already.
Wow. That,
But
that is just so cool. Anything else? You mentioned that there were a few things that you're excited about.
mostly will be for magic stuff that that I've been meaning to talk about lately.
Okay, you want to go down games by category, or is there anything else special that you guys want to focus on?
Zach, was there
Uh,
anything else that you were playing lately?
yeah, but if we want to go category, they're mostly board games. So if we wanted to do like card games and then board games, however you guys want to do it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'll give a rundown of magic stuff lately. Because it's been crazy and it's gonna be crazier too.
Okay, so we'll start with magic stuff and card games.
Um, so I'm trying to think. The last time that we were on was probably a few months ago. So the most recent set that has come out is like a return to like a very um or it's very well loved plane in Magic. Um Trying to think what year was it? It was probably 2006 or 10. Um it was Lorwyn and Morningtide and Shadowmoor, if you're familiar, Hercules.
Uh, Not very.
It was, yeah, it was full of fairies and it was changelings and shapeshifters and kithkin, was the theme of it. Um, but it was, really really popular back when it first came out originally, and so like they've been doing lately, been doing like a new take on stuff. Um, so we went back to Lorwyn. It's called Lorwyn Eclipsed, and so the trick or whatever with Lorwyn is that um, there's a daytime and a nighttime, and at any one time it's always day or it's always night. And I think the shift is like every 300 years or so. Um, so and the creatures that live in Lorwyn, they have a light side and a dark side. So the fairies during the daytime, are bright and shiny and sparkly fairies, and when it turns to the Shadowmoor side of it, they become like evil, devious fairies and dark fairies, if you will. So it's a unique mechanic, and they don't really explore that kind of thing too often. They did it with Midnight Hunt, where there's a day and night cycle, for the werewolves and vampires and stuff to fit thematically. Um, but they don't do like shifts like that too often. So it's been fun. I've been doing some drafts and stuff online, and it's been a fun experience. And the um, the Friday Night Magic that we do is draft as well in store. And usually when the set first comes out, it's busy because it's fresh, and everybody wants to play the new set. But as the set goes on, gets a little bit older and people kind of figure out the meta and figure out the set, and attendance drops off a little bit. We still get enough to fire the draft every week, plus way more too. But with Lorwyn, we've seen attendance like increase
Oh, wow.
as the set has been progressing. So that's it's a good sign. There's a lot of murmurings and stuff online. The vocal minority online of people not too happy with some stuff going on with Magic, which there is a truth to it, of course. But In store, there's people still showing up every single week and hanging out, and everybody's still having a good time. So in store and in person, that's all that matters. Everybody's still having a good time and smiling and laughing and having hanging out. That's what it's all about.
And I'm glad to hear that. Lately, it seems that for reviewing things or expressing unhappiness, everything's at like an all-time high. With people expressing negative things, like even reviewing products or movies or television shows. The predominant reviews I've been seeing have been like just nitpicking for everything and expressing it in the least kind ways possible. So I'm glad that whatever complaints there are not uncivilized.
Yeah, no, that exactly. So it's nice to see in store people are still having a good time. It's been fun. But so because of what happened with some scheduling and stuff that happened last year with Magic and pre-releases, we had Lorwyn pre-release. Probably it was probably 5 or 6 weeks ago. Um, but as I'm always saying, almost every time we're talking, there's another new Magic set coming out. And it's coming out literally next week, or is not this Friday, it's next Friday. So 10 days from now. Um, but this set is um they've been doing a lot of crossovers lately, like we've talked about. They've done Spider-Man, they've done Avatar, um, Doctor Who, Fallout, a bunch of things. Final Fantasy was very popular. But it's been pretty divisive, even since they announced it. But now that they've like spoiled some cards and releasing some stuff, again, people have kind of turned around and been like, "Oh, okay, maybe this isn't, this isn't going to be too bad." Where it's like, yes, everybody should just wait and see, just wait for the stuff.
Well, Tim,
Yep, I'm sorry, still here. Can you still work? Yep. Okay. So the new set that's coming out is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Um,
with the magic.
yes. So it's Magic X TMNT. Um, so it's a pretty interesting crossover. People were kind of curious how it would work. But with the stuff they've announced, it's been pretty fun. But then like I was saying, people were kind of wondering how it would work, but TMNT, what are they? They're ninjas, they're assassins, they're turtles, which are all things in Magic already. um, and then there's your Foot Clan. You have your bad guys built in for your antagonists and protagonists for your good guys. Um, so even I'm gonna be honest. Even I'm talking right now. I'm looking at my turtle stuff on my wall right now as we're talking. Um, and even I was kind of skeptical about it. Like I was like, how is this gonna work in Magic? But um, it's the stuff they've shown so far has been pretty cool. So my excitement levels have been rising for it. And now that we're getting a little bit closer to release day or pre-release day, I'm getting even more excited. So it should be pretty fun. And like I said, people have already started coming back coming back around, and our pre-release list is filling up. Our like pre-sign up list. So I think it'll be a good time, like it always is anyway. So
And with Magic going after licensing and mixing it all together, again, it's amazing. You got a Frodo Baggins and Donatello, the Ninja Turtle fighting against Godzilla.
right, yeah, and like the that's positive and negative to some people. Sometimes, it could be a little weird. People, there's magic purists where they want their magic, but the whole point behind it's universes beyond is the I don't even know what to call it, like the thematic part of it, like all the things that aren't magic that are already IPs. It's called universes beyond. Um, you know, it brought in so many people that are still playing Magic now. So that was the point of it, and to introduce people to Magic and the idea of the game and how to play the game, and and it worked, and people are still playing. So it's been great.
One of the ways of solving something like that with the overabundance of cards and not meeting people's liking thematically, when I used to play Talisman, a lot of times boxes used to come out with decks, and there were websites where you can make your own cards. So
Mhm.
I would approach it like I would a role-playing game. I would take out the cards that were relevant to the setting or fit into the setting, and all the rest of the cards, even though they were there, just wouldn't be part of the game. And this way, whatever happened was within the reality of the game world, rather than somebody else's reality intruding upon the game world.
Right. Yeah. Yep. There's the same thing that you can do with Magic. There's a million websites where create your own custom card, and there's whole subreddits on Reddit where people are sharing stuff back and forth, and um, there's a style of Magic called Cube, where it's you have a big box, of cards, and it's all from a certain block. Usually, you could do like a Ravnica cube, you can do a Lorwyn cube. Now there's enough cards to do that. Um, but I figure where I was going with that.
Well, we'll proceed, and if you we'll return to it. Do you have any other card games you want to tell us about?
Same thing with Pokemon been going on. Pokemon has been crazy as well. We're kind of having the same problem that everybody's been having with supply issues and everything, but we're still playing the game, and the people that are playing the game are still having a great time. And I do want to talk about that real quick too. um so with Pokemon, we have our Pokemon tournaments that we do every Saturday. We have our Pokemon League, but once a quarter we have our big Pokemon events. That we do across the street, at our place that we rent out for bigger events and everything. Um, we have ours coming up. This it's our first quarter cup is this Saturday. Um, so what we did for our quarter four cup last year, our friend store up in Andover, I Choose You TCG, we did a back-to-back cup where if you came to our tournament on Saturday and then you went to his tournament on Sunday, you got a special limited edition shirt. I might have been wearing it the last time you saw me. Where it just says, it has our logo and his logo and a heart with a arrow going through it, and then the date of both of our cups. Just a fun commemorative thing where it supports both stores and gets people out to play more Pokemon and everything. Um, so we're doing the same thing again this this quarter. So our cup is on the 21st, and then our friend's cup is on the 22nd. So if you come to ours and then you go to his, you get another limited edition T-shirt, slightly different design and everything. So it was a big hit last time. It was really fun for people. It's fun to see, like, oh, this person went to both because they have the shirt. It's fun to see it, out in the wild and everything, if you will. Um, and and a bunch of our players and his players as well. They do travel to go play Pokemon. They went to Toronto last month to go play. So they're representing our local stores, going up to Toronto and everything, wearing their shirts and their hoodies and stuff. So it's it's really fun. But it's really fun.
It is fun. I really admire that. I admire that greatly, how you've built a community in addition to building a business. That is so rare, and I'm honored to know you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been it's challenging sometimes, but at the end of the day, what are we doing? We're just hanging out, playing cards, talking movies, talking video games, talking cards, talking talking board games, everything.
Enjoying what
It's
you're passionate about. That's
yep,
good.
it's not so bad at the end of the day.
No. And Zach, any card games that you'd like to tell us about? We got you excited?
Don't think any card games lately, no.
So then we'll move on to board games because I know you got something there.
Yeah. So the first one, I showed Tim this when I saw him in person the other day too. I'm very late to this train, as the game's been out for I think a decade. But I was looking for games that my wife would enjoy because like there's certain games that she's really, really good at, and I want her to have fun with the hobby too. I don't want her to have to sit there and just play the games that I like or the games that I'm good at. And so I found a game called Potion Explosion. It's kind of similar to if you've ever played any of like the match your color gems types kind of games where there's a whole bunch of like gems in columns and you like move them around to match colors together. It's similar in that you have a physical dispenser with 5 rows of marbles in 4 different colors. And you're playing as different wizards who are trying to make potions and get the most points by the end of the game. So every potion will have anywhere between 3 and 7 marbles that it needs to be completed. It'll be specific colors. So, for example, you might have a potion that needs 2 red, 3 blue, 1 yellow. And so on your turn, you can take a single marble from 1 row. But if taking that marble out then makes 2 marbles of the same color touch each other as the marbles fall down, you pick up all the marbles in that string of color that just touched. And if taking them does that a second time and makes more colors hit each other, you would take them and so on and so forth. So it's about like trying to maximize what you can do with your base. I can pick up exactly 1 marble, and you're trying to like use powers to make sure that you can get big chain effects and things like that. Um, Very fun, very tactilely pleasing. The rules are extremely intuitive, easy to get into. Um, I think the only complaint that I can levy at it is that like the times we've played it, I kind of want it to be a little bit longer, which we can always adjust by making it longer ourselves. But the base game sometimes it's like, oh yeah, like I'm just getting stuff going, and then like it shuts off just a couple turns before I was hoping it would. Um, it plays up to 4 people, and I do hope to get an expansion to allow 5 and 6 players, but I'm having a hard time finding it for anything more than almost double the price of the base game. So I'm trying to wait until I can find it at a more reasonable price. But that one's been a lot of fun lately.
I didn't realize that game was so quote old.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that I remember seeing it at Barnes and Noble in places years and years ago, and I was always interested by it and just never picked it up. And then recently, of course, when I went to try and find it, I had to call like game stores all across North Jersey to find one that had it in stock.
Mm.
I like how you identify games that have not just dice or standard game mechanic tools, but use marbles, use all sorts of different things. That must add a whole different dimension to what you're doing.
It's very satisfying because the marbles are like full weight marbles. It's not like they're made out of cardboard or anything. So it's the noise they make as they clack is very pleasing. The potions, the spots for the ingredients are little holes so that you can like set the marble in it and it doesn't roll around. So it's put together in a very pleasing way. Um, and then the other one, funnily enough, is also a marble game because I was on a kick of looking for like tactilely cool games. It's called 12 Rivers. The idea is each of you plays as one of 4 tribes, and there are magic pearls that come down from the waterfalls high above where your village is, and they go down the 12 eponymous rivers. And so what you're doing is you have effectively just a small wooden square. You have four of them in your color, and you can put it in certain little cutouts on the path of the river. Whenever any marbles hit one of your little doors, we'll call them, you can pick one marble of the ones that hit it, and then you pull your door out, which makes the marbles then continue downwards through the river to hit any future doors. So the fun bit of it is you have to pay extra resources to place your doors higher up, which means you're paying, but you're guaranteeing that you'll have a chance to get a certain color of marble. So maybe out of the 12 rivers, only one of them has pink, and I really need pink this turn. I can put my door as literally the first thing that that pink marble will hit. It just costs me extra resources and means that I go slower next round. So the more specific you need to be, it means your next turn is probably not going to be as resourceful. Alternatively, if you aren't looking for specific colors and you go towards the bottom of the board, it doesn't really cost. Sometimes it even gives you resources to place there, but you'll be getting the leftovers of whatever everyone else didn't take. And so it's got this very fun push and pull mechanic where you want to alternate. You can't be too specific every turn because you'll run out of resources, and you get them much slower than you spend them. Because putting it at the like highest spot to guarantee like you're the first thing in that row, you need to discard three cards. And when you go to the very bottom, you get a single card back. So it's a very slow card draw that you want to be careful and think about how risky you want to be with it.
Sounds like a lot of fun, and again, I like blending the game formats together. So I'm trying to figure out how I would use that in a role playing game.
I'm looking at the pieces, and I like that they use slightly different shades of colors than normal. Um,
Yeah,
Bright green, bright pink. The
yeah.
art and stuff is cool. I like it.
It's very fun. And then when Jamie and I played it the first time, just the two of us, my parrot Zephyr, she came over and perched on top of the board because you build like literally this big slanted piece of cardboard so that the marbles can run down. And so we got some pictures of her like overseeing the rivers.
Zephyrs appeared in some of the pictures that I posted of you for various shows.
Yeah.
So now I know the parrot's name. Thank you.
Yeah, that's we named her Zephyr, so she has the same initials that I do.
Oh, that is so cool. And I'm looking at the clock. We're at the end of the hour already. Any last minute thoughts or announcements or proclamations or anything before we go to the contact information?
Nothing for me.
Okay, Tim, any events?
Um, no, so I just want to talk about the community aspect real quick. We were doing our Pokemon League last Saturday or the Saturday before. Our professor, his name is Andrew. Yeah, so it would have been um, 2 weekends ago. His birthday was on the Friday, so on the Saturday when we did our league, I went out and bought a bunch of pizza and some cupcakes and stuff for league and for Andrew's birthday. We sang him a nice happy birthday. There was a decent crowd there. I think there was about 12 or 14 for league. And there's a new father and son that have been coming lately. The father, he hasn't started playing yet. We'll get him to play soon. But it's his son, and then his son's friend comes, and they do league. Yeah, so we had pizza and cupcakes and everything, and people were leaving, and the father walked up and he said, "Hey, that was really nice." He was like, "It's really great that the places like this are still around. Stuff like this still exists. That these people can come, and or we can come here, and in a safe place and have fun and joke around and get pizza every so often is not too bad either. But he said it's a really great thing, that this stuff still exists.
I'll
So
be
it was nice to hear, especially from someone, he's basically brand new to the store. So it's really great to see that you know that that he's appreciative and that we're doing the right thing. And it was just a really nice affirmation to hear. It was good.
How can somebody get involved in this community? I know I like dropping by every now and then, and it's always good to see you and the other folks over at the store. How can people who haven't been there before find you? Because what you're doing is awesome.
Yeah, so we're right on Route 23, 615 Route 23 in Pumpkin Plains. There's always something going on. There's always somebody hanging out. Me and Scott, my coworker, we always say like we're like like a dry bar, just sitting behind the bar with our glasses and rags, as people talk and share stories and the good and unfortunately sometimes the bad, but that's what the community's for. Um, but uh, but yeah, we're right on Route 23. You can find us there. We do Magic on Thursday nights and Friday nights and Saturday nights, and we do Pokemon during the day on Saturdays, and we're always doing different events and everything. But the best way to see all that is we're trying to be better about it, and it's hard, but it's been super busy, which is a good problem to have, that we're too busy to even post some stuff online sometimes. But Facebook, you find us at Level One Games, and Instagram, Level One Games as well. You can send us a message, and like I said, all our stuff we try to post. And you find us on there. Still there?
Looks like your mic might be on mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep, there you go.
Yes.
Okay, Zach, how can someone find themselves to you in the wonderful gaming universes you introduce to us all the time?
You can always look me up on Facebook or shoot me an email at Mr. Moonin, MrMunnin @gmail.com.
Thank you very much to both of you. I hope the New Year's continues to treat you well. May you find very much success and joy in all of your endeavors. And I'm already looking forward to our next conversation. Have a wonderful evening. And to those listening, joyous journeys and amazing adventures. Good night and take care.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night.